Now, you've probably heard about mental toughness and mental toughness training, but you might be wondering what exactly it's all about and whether it has any relevance at all to you as a musician. It turns out that yes, it actually is really important. And this video will tell you just why that is, and it will tell you exactly what it's all about as well. Developing my own mental toughness has made a huge difference to my playing, and it's done the same for my students too. Now, at the end of the day, you can really only train 3 things in any area: your mind, your body, and your craft. So for us musicians, the craft is all that knowledge of music, the technique on the instrument. So that's what people tend to spend all their time on. And the body, the physical stuff, is important for some of us to more or lesser extents, but it's not usually a huge thing. We don't need to be doing huge amounts of cardio training, getting really fit, getting really big muscles. But the mind is something we don't think about much, and yet it really does affect everything that we play. The mind is always involved. What we're thinking and feeling, what we believe we're capable of, is totally relevant. Now, what exactly do I mean by mental toughness? Because it's clearly about the mind, but what precisely is it? And there's a misconception that it's to do with very rigid mental strength and fixed purpose. But it's not really that. It's much more about flexibility and relaxed concentration, relaxed strength. It's not looking to be constantly trying really hard. It's the ability to be focused in a relaxed, open way on what you need, to react to problems and issues that come up and bend with them a little bit, like a tree in the wind. We'll come back to that idea later. To bend with them before coming back to the center, rather than trying to remain absolutely fixed in place. And the biggest outcome when you start to develop more and more mental toughness, just that better mental game, the biggest outcome tends to be consistency. And not just consistency at whatever level, maybe mediocre, it's consistently achieving your best. Whether that's in the practice room, getting the most out of every session, whether that's on stage, delivering your best performances no matter what the situation. And hopefully you can see that this makes a huge difference. If you're able to play at 100% of your potential, to practice at 100% of your potential all the time, imagine how different that would be. Imagine the difference between every practice session, you're getting the absolute most out of it rather than maybe just half of what you could. Or turning up on stage and giving your absolutely best performance every time rather than all over the place, inconsistent. And to be honest, we're never going to reach absolutely 100%, certainly not absolutely every time, but we're typically way below that and a bit all over the place as well. So if we can get closer to that 100%, if we can do that on a consistent basis, the gains are massive. So this is where the benefits of your mental training, the mental toughness training, comes in, because that craft that you've got, you'll develop it that much more quickly in practice, and you will be much better placed to share it to its full potential in performance. Okay, so that's why the mental game is really important, but why do we need to train it? Haven't we just got it, or we don't? Well, actually, it definitely is something that you can work on. It is a learned skill rather than something inherited. So definitely don't get dragged down that path where you think, well, that's all very well, but it doesn't affect me because I'm just stuck where I am. That's not true. And the real reason we need to train it is because this is something that develops over time. You can't just say, hey, I'm doing my thing, and then I'm going to get up on stage in a difficult environment and I'm going to be mentally tough. Just like that. if you want that to happen, you need to do the work first. Same for practice. If you want to have those mental skills that mean you are going to get the most out of all your practice, it's a slow process to put them in place, and that needs to be happening before you actually need them. And another question about this is, well, but if I'm training for difficult situations, say a performance in a pressure situation, is there any way that I can do that outside that situation when that pressure isn't there? And not something I'm going to go deep into in this video, but actually, yes, you really can. There are ways to simulate pressure, and although it won't ever be exactly the same as the performance, whatever the actual pressure situation is, these things really do make a difference to just not working on it at all. Now, I talked earlier about a tree being able to bend and flex in the wind, and it turns out that a tree is a great analogy for what's going on with mental toughness. Think of the trunk and the branches and the leaves as all the visible aspects of your musical skills, while the roots are what's going on in your mind, the mental toughness aspect. And in a pressure situation, in a storm, you need those roots there. And you can't just sort of have nothing there to start with, and when the storm comes up, say, hey, I'm quickly going to grow some roots. It's not the way that it works. The roots have got to be there in the first place. But the roots do more than just keep a tree upright in a storm, in a pressure situation. They are what provides the water and the nutrients that allows the tree to grow and keeps it sustained at the level that it is. And this is like your ongoing practice and development. It's those deep-rooted mental skills that are driving all that beautiful physical stuff that you see above the ground. And again, it can't happen in reverse. You can't say, hey, I'll develop all my skills and then suddenly, oh, I'd better get some roots to support this. The growth won't happen if the roots aren't there. And the bigger the tree above the ground, the more developed all the skills you have, the deeper the roots need to grow to allow this. So think of that tree and remember what it's telling you about that need to develop your mental toughness in advance. The focus for great practice and performances, your ability to deliver under pressure, all those things, that's the ability of the tree to weather the storm, to grow. The roots have got to be there and developing the whole time. It's not something you can just disconnect from the rest of the tree or put off until later. Now, if you'd like to get started working on your mental toughness, then you should definitely check out my free ebook, Unshakable Foundations, which gives you the 9 key mindsets that the great performers all share. And if you'd like to get really serious about training this stuff, then you should look into my in-depth course, Unlock Your Performance. And I'll put links to both of those in the description below. I've been Mark Morley Fletcher. Thanks so much for watching. Please click below to subscribe if you haven't done so already. And while you're down there, why not hit the share button as well to pass this on to other musicians. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.